Did you do that?
When I was 8, I stole one bite of food, and my mom's boyfriend broke 2 of my ribs with a baseball bat.
A troublemaker like you should have been thrown out long ago.
On a snowy day, I was dumped at a garbage station. By the next day, I was so hungry that I found a damp newspaper inside a cardboard box. There was a missing person notice on it. The girl in the photo had such a sweet smile. She looked so happy. She had been missing for 4 years. I pressed my face close to a piece of broken glass. I was filthy and so thin I barely looked like myself, but around the eyes I looked 6 or 7 parts like her. She had a tiny crescent scar at the corner of her left eye. So did I. Her parents were offering $1 million to find her. I didn't want that $1 million. I was just too cold, too hungry, and in too much pain. I just wanted a mom.
With my frozen hand, I pulled out the only 50-cent coin in my pocket, crawled to the post office door, reached the payphone, and dialed that number.
Annie? Is that you, Annie? Annie, say something! Where are you? Annie? Annie, please say something!
25 cramps. Used up. When I was 8, New York got hit by a once-in-a-decade blizzard. I was shoved into a cardboard box beside the trash cans. They said, "Don't die in the house." My left side was broken by my mom's boyfriend with a baseball bat. Every breath felt like broken glass stabbing into my chest.
Did you do that? I'm asking you, did you do that?
Stop yelling. You're giving me a headache.
Do you know how much that bottle cost?
Didn't knock over that bottle, but in that home, every bad thing always ended up being my fault. I wanted to explain, but I knew explaining wouldn't help. I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt, because I knew crying would only make him angrier.
That's enough. Don't kill her in my apartment. You hit her, you deal with it.
Now? You damn bitch, there's a blizzard outside!
That was when I understood. She wasn't afraid I would die. She was only afraid I'd stain her carpet.
If you live, crawl back. If you don't come looking for me.
I didn't beg him, because I knew he wouldn't turn back. I don't know how long I slept. When I woke up, the sky was still gray. I thought if I made it until morning, someone would see me. But New York was too big, so big that no one would notice a child beside the trash cans.
New York is facing the strongest blizzard in 10 years. City officials are advising residents to avoid going out.
So dirty.
On the second night, I started to stop hearing the wind. My body kept getting lighter, like it was about to float out of the box.
That night, I thought I was about to die.
Until I saw her. She had such a beautiful smile. Like a doll in a shop window. Like a child who would never be thrown away. I didn't know many words, but I understood a few. Missing. Central Park. 4 years. Annie. So her name was Annie. How much is $1 million? I didn't know. I only knew that if someone was willing to spend that much money looking for her, she must be really important. I didn't want the money. I just wanted to know what it felt like to be looked for. I knew I shouldn't move, but that photo was like a thread, pulling me out of the box. The eyes kind of look alike. The hair kind of looks alike too. The newspaper said she had a tiny crescent moon near the corner of her left eye. I have one too. Mary said it was dirt. Daniel said my face looked unlucky. But what if it wasn't dirt? What if I am her? I can't die. At least, not before I hear the answer. Payphones need coins, but I had nothing. It was a 20-cent coin. So dirty I couldn't even see the pattern. But it might be my last chance. Mom, I really want a mom who loves me too. Please pick up the phone.
I didn't know who would be on the other end. Maybe the police, maybe a liar, maybe no one would answer.
Hello? Is this my Annie? Annie? Mommy is here! Don't hang up! Please don't hang up!
My name is Annie. Can you be my mom?
Your balance has run out.
In all that snow and wind, only the busy tone was left.
Don't move. You're in the hospital. You're safe now.
Safe? I didn't understand that word. In my memory, when an adult reached out, it either meant they were taking my food or grabbing my hair.
The bakery owner found you next to the phone booth last night. You were still holding a newspaper. It's right here. No one took it.
That call came from around here! I heard her breathing! It has to be my Annie!
Mrs. Winslow, the child just woke up. You need to calm down.
I can't calm down. She waited for me for 4 years. I can't be one step late again.
Doctor, let us see her. Just one look.
Honey. I'm your mom. Baby mommy is here.
Mom. But she isn't my mom.
How badly is she hurt?
Her 7th and 8th ribs on the left side are fractured. She has a mild lung contraction. Her fingers and toes are frostbeat. She's malnourished, and she has multiple old and new injuries. We suspect long-term abuse.
Long term? What do you mean, long term?
Don't be scared. We won't hurt you.
Michael, it's her. Look at her eyes. Look at this birthmark. It's Annie. It's our Annie.
Daddy? Mommy?
Annie, Daddy came too late.
If they really were my daddy and mommy, that would be nice.
Mommy is here. Mommy is here now. Annie, don't be scared.
Her vocal cords are fine. It may be fear, cold exposure, or trauma.
It's okay if you can't speak. Mommy will wait.
We won't lose you again.
Mr. Winsott will check the phone booth cameras and contact Child Protective Services. The child may need a DNA comparison.
They still can't be sure I'm Annie. I might be sent back.
You understand us, don't you?
She understands, Michael, she understands.
This was your favorite when you were little. I don't know if you still remember it.
I don't remember. I only remember the broken heater, the locked kitchen door, and the ash from Mary's cigarettes.
It's okay if you don't remember. It can keep you company again. Annie, sleep if you're tired. Mommy is right here.
I didn't dare sleep. I was afraid that when I woke up, all of this would be gone.
Check every camera near that phone call. And the adoption records. I need to know what she went through these 4 years.
I don't know what they'll find. I don't know if they'll still want me after they find it.
Annie, Mommy is here. Mommy is here. I've always been here.
After that blizzard night, this is the first time I think I might live until morning.
Is it time to change the dressing? Will it hurt? We'll be very gentle.
When I used to hurt, no one asked if it hurt. They only hated how loud I cried.
Hold Mommy's hand. If it hurts, squeeze harder. Good. Annie was so brave.
Brave. So bearing pain didn't mean I deserved it.
We'll keep investigating Mary Hobbs and the man around her. But before the identity is official, we still need the DNA result.
How long?
7 to 10 days at the fastest.
Are they saying I might not be Annie? Unknown. No identity. Those words fit me too well.
The doctor said you can only drink a little. No rush. Mommy will feed you. Do you not want it?
At Mary's place, food was never for me. She only threw me some when she felt like it.
See? It's safe. No one will take it away.
It was warm, so warm I wanted to cry.
Then the little deer finally found the way home. It opened the door and saw that its mommy had been waiting all along.
If the DNA result says I'm not Annie, will she still wait for me?
Good night, Annie. Annie? Mommy won't leave. Not tonight. Not ever.
I don't know if I'm Annie, but tonight, for the first time, I wanted to stay.
What's your name? Where did you live before?
It's not that I didn't want to talk, it's just my voice felt like it got frozen inside that phone booth.
Then draw it for me, okay? This little person, is that you?
So even without saying a word, people could still see what happened to me.
Mrs. Winslow, we need to change her bandages.
Is Annie hurting?
That was the first time I knew. Maybe I could belong to a name like that. Winslow.
This was your favorite when you were little. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember. I only remember the moldy apartment, the broken heater, and the kitchen door that was always locked whenever I got hungry.
DNA results will take 7 to 10 days. Until then, we can only say it's a high probability.
High probability. Those 4 words felt like a thin needle poking right into my heart.
Annie, go to sleep. Mommy's here.
If I'm not Annie, then holding this bear, am I stealing someone else's life? The shoes are too clean. So clean I'm afraid to step on the ground.
No more shoes that don't fit. Mommy will buy you new ones.
Back at Mary's, I wore old sneakers that other people threw away. Every time I walked in the snow, ice water would seep inside.
Careful. Don't bump her ribs.
The phone booth is getting farther and farther away. The trash can, the cardboard box, that back alley, they're all getting farther away. But I can't let myself relax. If the DNA results don't match, they could take all of this back.
Tired? Lean on Mommy and sleep for a bit.
This place feels like another world, a world I never dared to get close to.
Annie, we're almost home.
Home. That word is too warm and too dangerous. I'm afraid if I reach out, it'll shatter. Too many people. In the past few years, crowds usually meant danger. Some people would watch, some would laugh, some would pretend not to see.
Don't crowd around. Annie will be scared.
No one called me ungrateful. No one said I was being dramatic. They actually stopped. She's too clean, too happy. She doesn't look like me. At least not like me right now.
This photo was taken the week before you went missing.
These 4 years, I've wiped it every single day. I was afraid dust would settle on it. Afraid that when you came back, you'd see that Mommy didn't take care of your things.
No one's going to put anything in it, and no one's going to take it away.
He noticed. Back at Mary's, I got my head shoved into the sink once, just for sneaking half a cup of expired milk. It's really hot and sweet. When it goes down my throat, my whole stomach feels warm.
This room has always been waiting for you. Every year on your birthday, I bought you a gift. I never knew what you'd like, so I just put them all here.
I don't know if the real Annie would have liked these gifts, but I like them. I like them so much it scares me.
The little Foon walked a long, long way and finally found the path home. Good night, Annie.
I finally have a clean bed, a cup of hot milk, a mom who says goodnight. But I don't know if any of this is really mine. Not the back alley, not the cardboard box, and not Mary's apartment. The one that always smelled like booze and mold.
Good morning, Annie. Today, Mommy's going to take you out to buy some clothes, okay? It's not because you did something wrong that I'm buying these for you. It's because you need them. And because Mommy wants to buy them for you.
Wants to buy them for me. So someone would actually buy things for a kid just because they want to?
If you're not comfortable, we won't go. Annie gets to decide.
You can eat all of it. No one's going to take it from you.
I'm actually really hungry, but I don't dare wolf it down. I'm scared they'll think I'm some stray dog they pulled out of a trash can.
Good morning, Mrs. Winslow. Pick out a few outfits for my daughter. Something soft, no hard buttons, and nothing that'll press against her ribs.
My daughter. Those two words hit me like a little stone right in the chest.
Don't crowd around her. Just bring the clothes over. I'll help her try them on myself. Just like her. You look so much like her.
The more I look like her, the more scared I get. Scared that all of this is only because I look like Annie, not because I am Annie.
Once you're feeling better, Mommy will have a teacher come to the house to teach you. Later on, you could go to school too. Would you like that? Going to school?
I want to. I've never been to school. Mary said no one would bother teaching a worthless kid how to read.
Okay, then Mommy will get everything ready for you. You loved this the most when you were little.
Tangy and sweet. Really hot. I don't know if the real Annie actually loved this when she was little, but I love it right now.
DNA results could come back as early as tomorrow. No matter when the results come back, tonight, you're coming home to sleep.
He didn't say if you are. He said come home.
Annie, eat first. The soup won't taste good if it gets cold.
Come home. That was the first time that word wasn't a command. It felt like a light. A really, really far away light.
This is your 3rd birthday. You smacked cake all over Dad's face. This was the morning you went missing. You insisted on wearing that burgundy coat. Said you looked just like a little princess. Annie? Mom, take it slow. This is our little girl. Those eyes, they're exactly how Michael looked when he was little.
Grandma knit you a new pair every single year. This year's pair, I finally get to give it to you myself.
The photo album, that burgundy coat, birthday gifts, and the gloves Grandma knit for me. Everyone's been waiting for Annie to come home.
Good night, Annie.
Everyone's waiting for Annie to come home, but what if the DNA report tomorrow says I'm not her? I don't care about that $1 million. I'm just so scared. Scared this bed, this warm soup, this good night will all disappear when I wake up tomorrow. The phone ring cut through the quiet. It sounded just like that dead tone from the phone booth that night, ringing in my ears all over again.
This is Michael Winsoak. Is it confirmed?
Michael?
At that moment, I didn't even dare breathe. I was waiting for him to say sorry, that they'd made a mistake.
Annie, the DNA results are back. You're our daughter.
It's you. It's really you, Annie. My Annie's home at last.
I'm Annie. I didn't steal this warmth from anyone. I'm not just some stray kid who happens to look like her. This bed, this warm milk, that good night, none of it was tricked from them. It was always mine to begin with.
Mommy found you, Annie.
Mommy's finally found you.
Is too big to take in. It's like a blizzard crashing straight into my body.
Annie, do you hear me? You're Mommy's little girl.
I knew it. This is our child. It's good to have you back. Just good to have you home.
So, coming home isn't just a polite word. There really were people here saving a place just for me.
From today on, she's Annie Winslow. No one gets to look at her with doubt ever again.
I still can't speak much, but for the first time,
Mommy's right here.
These two words feel like they belong to me.
There's nothing you need to see. Don't be scared.
Is it the investigation files?
The police are reopening all adoption records, surveillance footage, and every person involved from those 4 years.
I get to stay here now, but the people who lost me, who left me out in the snow, are still hiding in the dark.
Pull all unusual adoption records from 4 years ago. And that apartment in Queens. I need the full address.
Annie? Mommy won't ask anything. If you don't want to hear this, we'll head back to your room.
That run-down apartment, broken heating, a locked kitchen door, Mary's cigarette smoke, and Daniel's baseball bat.
Annie, this is your home now. You didn't steal any of this. You belong here.
It's like she knows my worst fear. It was never the $1 million I was worried about. I was terrified none of this was really mine.
Annie's physically and emotionally fragile right now. We won't push her to identify them immediately.
I understand.
But all these old and new injuries, paired with the phone booth and hospital records, are enough to launch abuse charges.
Keep digging. Don't leave a single person out.
Good night, Annie.
Mom?
Mommy's here.
I'm not some nameless kid dumped by a trash can. My name is Annie Winslet. I've grown terrified of phone calls. Ever since that day, back in Chapter 5, every ring in this house feels like a tiny needle stabbing my ears.
Mommy will take the call far away, okay?
Sometimes it's the lawyer, sometimes the police, sometimes Child Protective Services. Every time the phone rings, Mommy's first move is to check on me. I can't stand being alone in my room. Wherever Mommy goes, I follow right behind. I wish I could tell her I'm not misbehaving.
You can stick with Mommy all you want, Annie.
I'm just scared she'll turn around and disappear, just like she did in Central Park 4 years ago.
Annie, we don't have to draw the past today. Let's draw what's here right now, all right? Is this place safe? How about we draw a door for the house? A thick, sturdy door. You're safe inside, and no one out there can get in. It's nothing. Mommy just thinks our Annie drew such a wonderful picture.
Those two names feel like rats hiding in the shadows by the fireplace. I can't see them, yet I keep waiting for them to jump out at any second.
The police found a name Mary used before. 4 years ago, a woman named Lydia treated a 3-year-old girl at an underground clinic in Brooklyn. No legal guardianship papers, just a fake address.
There was a blind spot in the Central Park cameras back then.
They're going through the footage again. The police will take care of it.
Human trafficker. I know what that word means. Daniel said once when he was drunk, if she wasn't desperate to get rid of the kid, you wouldn't have gotten her so cheap.
Annie? Mommy's here. Baby, Mommy's here.
Mommy.
What's wrong?
I heard it. Daddy heard it too. Anna just said Mommy.
My voice didn't come back all at once, but after that nightmare, it finally found Mommy first, out of the dark.
Your voice won't come back all at once. Take it slow, Annie. Talk if you want, or don't. It's okay. Only just started speaking.
I don't remember her face, but I remember that earring. In those broken little dreams, it swayed in front of me like a cold gold coin.
Is that her?
Her name's Nora Bell. She was investigated 4 years ago for child trafficking, but they didn't have enough proof. She's probably the middle woman.
Mary and Daniel are still on the run, and Nora hasn't been caught yet. But I know this isn't over.
Keep digging. Don't let anyone get away.
Good night, Annie.
Good night, Mommy. For the first time, I think my voice was never really lost. Like me, it just hid in the dark for way too long. Now Mommy found me, and she's getting my voice back little by little. Being able to talk again feels like a fragile, tentative spring. It doesn't just arrive all at once.
Miss, are you...
Annie will speak when she's ready.
She doesn't have to prove anything.
I suddenly wanted to say thank you, but that sentence is too long. My throat's like frostbite fingers. It moves, but it hurts. Mo.
Mommy's here.
They think I can't understand, but I hear everything.
4 years ago, the cameras near the Central Park playground were down for 23 minutes. A witness saw a woman with dark curly brown hair lead away a little girl in a burgundy coat. She wore big gold earrings and held a cup of hot chocolate.
I left to buy hot chocolate that day.
Evelyn, it wasn't your fault.
I want to tell her it wasn't her fault, but the sentence is too long. I can't say it. Mommy.
Did you get her?
We got her.
They found Nora, but some part inside me feels even colder.
She was hiding in a motel in New Jersey, planning to take an early morning bus out. They found fake passports and photos of different kids in her suitcase. We'd like Annie to do a formal identification. It'll be quick, behind one-way glass. We can stop right away if she gets scared.
No. She only just got her voice back. You can't push her like that.
Of course I'm scared. Just thinking about those gold earrings makes my stomach churn. Go.
Mommy's coming with you.
We're done.
Annie, are you sure?
The earring. It wasn't her face. It was that little move, touching her earlobe. She did the same thing in my dreams when that gold earring swung.
You're so brave, Annie.
I don't feel brave. I just want this to end so badly. I want to sleep one night without checking if the door's locked.
Nora confessed. She admits she took Annie from Central Park 4 years ago and handed her over to a woman named Lydia. She also said Lydia later passed Annie on to Mary Hobbs. As for Mary and Daniel, she claims she doesn't know where they ran off to.
Daniel.
Annie,
What else do you remember?
Those broken memories come rushing back like shards of glass.
The cops are already onto us!
Head south! I've got contacts there who can get fake IDs. Guys.
He said, go south.
It's enough, baby. You don't have to say more.
South, bus, contacts.
Good night, Annie.
Don't be afraid. I'm here too.
These are short words, but they're like 3 matches I held out from the dark. South, bus, contacts. I can reach out too and point out the people who hurt me one by one out of the shadows.
Port Authority bus terminal, security footage. Request assistance.
After that night, Dad gave the police the words south, bus, and friend. I only heard a few words through the crack in the door.
Anna, leave this to Dad and the police. Right now, the most important thing is for you to get better.
Anna needs to rebuild a normal life. A regular routine, a safe environment, steady care, and contact with kids her age.
Kids my age. That phrase scares me. The kids near the old apartment used to throw stones at me and call me a dirty rat.
No rush. How about we start with a teacher coming to the house? Today, we'll start with the alphabet. Then write your name.
Other 8-year-olds can already read thick books. I can't even write my own name right.
Good job, Anne. This is the first step of putting yourself on paper.
Anne Winslet. When that name landed on paper, it felt like a tiny seed.
You wrote it beautifully. If you get scared, tell your teacher. If you don't want to stay, Mommy will come get you right away.
Take it with you. Anne doesn't have to pretend she's not scared.
This is Annie. She just came back to New York, and she needs a little time to adjust. You can be nice to her, but you don't need to crowd around her.
You can use my blue one. I have 2. Thank you. You're welcome.
Draw the home you have in your heart.
Who's that shadow? Bad guy. Then you can draw a sun inside the house.
How was it? Were you scared? Did anyone bully you?
Lily lent me blue.
Our Annie made a friend.
Friend. I said the word once in my heart. It didn't feel as heavy as police, hospital, or DNA. It felt light, like the blue pencil Lily handed me.
Maybe you can draw fewer locks next time.
First, a window.
Okay. We'll take it slow.
And I love you, slut.
Mary and Daniel were caught. The woman who smoked, the man with the baseball bar, they weren't just shadows chasing me in my dreams anymore.
Anna. The police found Mary and Daniel at the Port Authority bus terminal. They caught them.
They were finally dragged out of the dark and into the light. The night Mary and Daniel were caught, I didn't fall asleep, but I didn't dream either. What really scared me was that they had finally walked out of my dreams and into real life. Would Mary say I was lying? Would Daniel still stare at me through the police station bars with those drunk eyes? Would they get out and find me again?
They can't hurt you anymore. Anna, now there is the law. There are police and there are Mom and Dad.
Law? That word felt strange to me. In that broken apartment, Daniel's fists were the law. Mary's cigarettes were the law.
It's okay if you can't sleep. Mommy will stay with you.
Anne, if you feel uncomfortable, you can stop anytime.
We're done.
Not because I wasn't scared. Because I needed to make sure she was really trapped inside the photo, not standing behind me.
Anna, were they the ones who took you from the apartment to the back alley in Brooklyn?
You can draw it too.
Don't die, carpet. Dad turned away. Like if he didn't turn around, he wouldn't be able to control himself.
This is enough to become key testimony for abuse, abandonment, and unlawful confinement. We're still investigating the trafficking chain from back then. Nora has already confessed that Mary had no legal adoption papers.
No legal adoption? So Mary wasn't my real birth mother. She was just the person who stole me, bought me, and hid me.
Mary has been crying at the police station, saying she's pitiful too. She says back then she was just being kind, taking in a child nobody wanted.
What did she say?
Kind. Took me in. Nobody wanted. Those words splashed over me like dirty water.
Anne, look at Mommy. She didn't save you. She stole you.
So, I wasn't bad?
No, you weren't bad. They were bad. Anna, none of this was your fault.
You survived not because they were merciful. You survived because you were brave. The police found an old photo in Mary and Daniel's carry-on luggage.
There was an address written on the back of the photo, which led to an underground clinic in Queens 4 years ago.
Nora confessed that it was there that Anne was handed over to Mary back then.
The case is no longer just about abuse and abandonment. It has finally connected back to the disappearance in Central Park 4 years ago. Like a child who has walked for ages in the snow, finally spotting someone holding a lamp up in the distance. Dr. Lin once said that a painting reveals the truest feelings hidden deep in one's heart. As I gazed at that painting, I suddenly felt the ache in my chest ease a little.
Anna, may I come in?
Back then, when the door rattled, it meant someone was coming in to yell at me, hit me, or drag me away. But now, the person outside will first ask if I'm okay with it. Sure.
Which one would you like to listen to today?
The returning child.
The little bear found a warm cave.
It wasn't snowing outside the window over New York. The night was quiet. For the first time, I wasn't afraid to close my eyes. Because I know the bad guys are locked up behind bars, and I'm on the right side of the door. At home. My voice started coming back. Not all at once, but bit by bit. Water. First mom, then dad, then water, hurts, no.
If you can't say it, write it down. Or draw, whatever works. This isn't a setback. It's Annie's body finally believed that making a sound won't bring a slap or a stick.
I don't fully understand those big words, but I know Daniel is gone. Through the iron bars,
it went up again.
Police, through Bod's lawyers, they can never kick my door open in the middle of the night again.
Miss Annie's curls are very pretty.
Pretty? That word never landed on me before. Mary only said I was dirty, unlucky, trouble.
This is Annie's little moon. It's the mark that tells Mommy, this is my girl.
Moon. It's no longer an ugly scar.
Yes.
It became the sign that led me home.
If you don't want to stay, just ask the teacher to call me. Annie, you don't have to force yourself to be like everyone else.
I wanted to know, if the real Annie hadn't been taken away, would she be sitting in a bright classroom at 8 years old? For you. It's the moon. Thank you.
Take your time, Annie. You're already doing very well. How was it today?
Hard. But I still want to come tomorrow.
Okay. Mommy will bring you tomorrow.
Mary insists she only took the child in. She denies involvement in the original abduction. Daniel admits the beating but denies attempted murder. Their defense will focus on loss of control and no death resulted.
She had 2 broken ribs. She was thrown out onto the street in below creeling weather. If she hadn't crawled to that phone booth herself, if not for that coin, she'd be in the morgue right now.
No death resulted. So as long as I didn't die, they can call that cardboard box in the blizzard not that serious.
Annie, no matter how they twist it, the truth doesn't change. They hurt you. That is not your fault, and it is not something that can be brushed aside lightly.
What if the judge believes them?
Then Mommy will keep saying it, Daddy will keep saying it, the lawyers, the police, the doctors, they will all keep saying it until everyone hears.
I'm asking you, did you do that?
Annie?
Mom, it's not my fault. Not my fault.
New leaves will grow there before long.
New leaves. It sounds so gentle, but it reminds me of my scabed fingers. The marks from frostbite are still there, yet new skin is slowly growing underneath. Mommy. Back when I lived with Mary, I learned to spot danger from grown-ups' faces. Mommy isn't like them, but I'm still scared.
Are you cold today? There's a hearing tomorrow. It's about whether Mary and Daniel stay in custody, and if your statement needs to be recorded early.
Do I have to go?
The lawyer said you don't have to. No one can force you. Annie, your dad and I don't want you to see them ever again either.
Annie,
I want to go.
you don't have to do this for us. What they did to you isn't your burden. Making them pay is for the adults to handle.
I'm not brave at all. I still shake whenever the phone rings. If someone slams the door downstairs, I automatically want to hide under the table. But Dr. Lin said being skeptins when forward evrombitnend, that's what it means to live. They say it wasn't that bad. But I want to tell the judge. It was terrible.
All right. Daddy will be right there with you.
Do you want me to cover it?
It isn't something to be ashamed of. It's how Mom recognized me. It's proof that I came home.
Is she Annie Winsley?
Did Mary really abuse her?
Don't photograph her. She's only 8.
So Dad gets nervous too. She almost looks pitiful. But I know her. I know the small, cold thing hiding in her eyes.
Mary was struggling, but she still took in a child of unknown origin. What happened tonight was a terrible decision after a family argument.
A terrible decision. They made leaving me in the freezing alley sounded so small. They made it sound so small.
Would the child like to say a few words? If she doesn't want to.
I do.
If you're afraid, look at me or look at your mom and dad.
I am not a child of unknown origin. I have a name. My name is Annie Winslow. That night, my ribs were already broken. I was in so much pain, and I was so cold. I did not run outside by myself. Daniel dragged me outside. Mary said, "Don't let me die on her carpet."
The defendant will remain silent.
Her voice is still as sharp as before, but it can't decide whether I eat, whether I sleep inside, or whether I am trash anymore. You knew. You always knew. That is enough.
Are you scared?
Yes. But I said it.
Yes. You said it.
Miss Annie looks like a little spring angel.
The word angel feels too clean. I am still not sure I can put that word beside my name.
For our spring recital, our class will sing You Are My Sunshine.
You are my sunshine, my own. It is not because I don't know the song. Helen has practiced it with me again and again at home. Every time the song says that someone makes the gray sky happy, something closes around my throat. Annie, does your throat hurt?
Annie, if you don't want to sing, you can simply stand with the group. No one will blame you.
It's okay. You can follow along with me for now. I really do want to sing. Not for the recital, and not because I want people to praise me. I just want my mom to hear me.
Annie, Mommy is here.
She heard me breathe through a telephone and waited 4 years for me to come home. I want her to hear my voice this time. The audience looks like a dark sea of faces. My palms are covered in sweat. You are my sunshine. The song passes beside me, but no sound comes out. The dead tone from that night is trapped inside my throat. Beep, 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 beep.
Mommy is here.
Just like in the hospital, just like every night when she held my hand after a nightmare. Mommy is here. You are my sunshine. How much I love with your view. I may not know every word, but I know what it means. You will never know how deeply I love you. I do not hear the applause. I only hear my heartbeat and Mommy crying.
Annie, sweetheart, you sang.
Clean and warm, like cashmere in the spring sun. Mommy, I sang it for you. Annie, you sounded beautiful. My voice was hoarse and quiet, but she truly meant it. Thank you.
Your first song on a school stage deserves a celebration.
Our Annie was wonderful today.
The girl who lost her voice in the blizzard feels farther away now. She is still there, but now she can sing for Mommy.
just a school event article. Don't look at that stuff.
Not just teachers and classmates, maybe reporters too. Maybe adults sitting in front of the TV, drinking coffee, talking about the news.
Annie, if you don't want to go to school today, we can go home.
I want to go, but now I don't want to lock myself back in my room just because people are looking.
Annie, do you remember the day you were taken? What do you want to say to Mary?
Do you forgive her?
Forgive. That word felt like a piece of ice shoved into my chest.
She's a child. Don't throw your questions at her.
Click. It sounded like a garbage truck hitting metal bins on a winter.
Good morning, Annie.
Good morning, Miss Miller. There wasn't anything mean in their eyes, mostly just curiosity. But curiosity can feel like tiny needles sometimes. It doesn't make you bleed, but it still makes you want to pull your sleeves down and hide inside yourself. My mom saw you singing. She cried. She said you were really brave. I'm not brave. But you sang even though you were scared. I think that's brave. People said you used to live next to a trash can. Is that true? Stop asking. I was just curious. Curious. That word again. If this were before, I would have stayed quiet. I would have swallowed every question and pretended I didn't exist. Because with Mary, if I didn't make a sound, maybe I'd get hit less. But now, Mom is waiting in the school office. Dad's car is parked outside the gate. It's true. But I live at home now. And you're sitting here now, too, eating lunch with us. I didn't mean to make you sad.
This is for you. You don't have to explain your story to every single person.
What if they keep asking?
Then you can say, that's my business. I don't want to answer right now.
So I'm allowed to say no.
What is this?
A road. From that alley to the hospital to the Winslet house to school to the stage. It was long, it was hard, but I made it here.
Annie, Mommy, I'm so proud of you.
Right now, all I need to do is eat well, go to school, and sleep well. Learn to sing, learn to write, and learn to say no when people ask questions that hurt too much. I used to be next to a trash can, but I'm not trash. My name is Annie Winslow, and I'm home now. I thought I'd already said the scariest things out loud. But Dr. Lynn said some memories don't disappear just because I don't want to look at them. They're like broken glass buried under snow in winter. When the sun comes out, they still show up by piece.
I'll be right here.
No one is going to force you to answer anything today.
We just want to help record any memories that might be useful for the case in a gentler way. Annie, if you don't want to say it, you can show us with the cleaves.
Grass. Trees. Something is moving in my head. Not a full picture. Just little flashes. The autumn wind, the sound of leaves crunching under my shoes, a hot dog cart somewhere far away, and Mom bending down to button my coat, her fingers warm against me. Mommy, I want to see the pigeons.
Annie, don't run too far.
Are you Annie? You're here. You're safe.
Green scarf, moon balloon. That woman's face is blurry, but I think I've heard her voice before.
I already took the money. Don't call me again. Whether that kid lives or dies has nothing to do with me.
Not a stranger.
You remember her?
Green scarf, moon balloon. She knew my name.
Annie, take your time. Just look at them. See if anyone feels familiar.
Her. Nora. I'd heard that name many times after I came home. Dad said she used to be a temporary nanny at the Winslow house, but she was fired for stealing. Did she take me? No one answered right away, and that silence was already an answer.
We'll apply for a new arrest warrant.
Mommy?
Yes.
Did I get lost because I ran away by myself?
No. Annie, you're only 4 years old. None of this is your fault.
But what if I hadn't run away?
It still wouldn't have been your fault. Mommy couldn't protect you. This grief will stay with me my whole life. But it was never your fault. Never.
Annie, thank you. You saved yourself. And you helped Mom and Dad too. You've cast a little light on all that dark stuff from back then.
These hands once scraped 25 cents out from under a sewer grat. They clutched my teddy bear tight during the hearing. And today, they pointed out the person who tore me away from Mom. They're still so tiny, but they've done so much already. I didn't get lost on my own. I was stolen. But I'm home now. The heavy stone that sat on my chest for so long finally feels a little lighter. This time, I didn't dream of cardboard boxes.
Where is she? I know. Nora's been arrested.
I'm not as happy as I thought I'd be. There's just an empty, hollow feeling in my chest.
Nora's been living under a fake name all these years. After leaving New York, she worked odd jobs at a cleaning company in New Jersey, then moved to Philadelphia later. Based on the green scarf and silver moon balloon you remembered, the police re-examined the surveillance footage around Central Park from back then. They found a clip that had been overlooked.
That little girl was me.
Annie, look at Mommy. A 4-year-old can't tell when an adult means harm. She knew your name, had your favorite moon balloon, and she'd been to our house before. It's not your fault you trusted her.
But I went with her.
You didn't go with her willingly. She tricked you into leaving.
Annie, your mother's right. The one who's at fault is the woman who lied to you, not a 4-year-old little girl who trusted grown-ups.
Nora has given an initial confession. After she was dismissed from the Winslet household years ago, she harbored a bitter grudge all this time.
She knew Mrs. Wins took Annie to Central Park every week. And she also knew Annie loved moons and balloons. On that day, she waited for them in the park on purpose. While Mrs. Winsley stepped away to buy tickets, she lured Annie off with her.
She initially claimed that she only wanted to extort money.
But later, fearing that the matter would blow up, he handed the child over to an underground broker.
Underground broker. Underground broker. The words bring back memories of that secret clinic in Queens, the old photographs tucked inside Mary's luggage. All the broken pieces finally fit together. One long, dark thread dragged 4-year-old Annie all the way to the 8-year-old me I am today.
Nora admits Mary gave her a sum of cash back then.
Mary still denies taking part in the abduction. She claims she merely adopted the child from the broker, but we've uncovered new transfer records and witness statements.
Every single one of them will pay for what they've done.
Yet she still locked me in that rundown apartment, made me eat leftovers, burned me with cigarette butts, beat me with a baseball bar, and finally threw me out into the blizzard. In that instant, the fear inside me slowly transformed to something else. It wasn't rage so intense that I wanted to scream, but a kind of quiet, lucid clarity. They didn't misunderstand me. They hurt me. Not because I was naughty, difficult, or unworthy of love, but because they were cruel.
Come with me, Annie. I'll take you to your mother.
No! She's not Mom.
Annie? Had another nightmare?
I dreamed of Central Park. But this time, I didn't go with Nora. I ran back.
Yes, Annie's back.
They hope to get lenient treatment in exchange for an apology. Annie, do you want to meet her?
I don't want to.
Fine, then don't come.
No one told me to be magnanimous. No one said she might have had her reasons. No one turned forgiveness into a task I was obliged to complete. Not every apology deserves to be heard. The case is not over yet. Mary, Daniel, Nora, and the rest of those on that dark chain will all stand trial. But this time, I don't have to hide alone in the cardboard box waiting for dawn. Mom and Dad are here. My Voiles is here, yo. And the door can be locked from the inside.